Is this just a repeat of the distribution top that we saw in March, or is Bitcoin about to absolutely explode? Guys, welcome back to Empire Trading Academy. Hit the like, hit the subscribe if you have not already, and let's get into this. First and foremost, we're going to be going over the technicals, guys. Then we'll get into a little bit of on-chain. All right, so the biggest thing that I've been watching for, we'll say since the end of October, all right, is this distribution or this consolidation that we've been having between 68 and roughly 62,000. Okay, we've seen that it's been starting to form somewhat of a Wyckoff distribution here, mimicking this point in time, call it between August and end of September or October, and then more importantly, because we're in the same price range, this very clear and obvious distribution top that we saw between February and May. All right. Now, few things that we've been looking for. Okay, we've had these slightly higher highs like we have in these structures. Okay, we had our last point of supply here. We had our last point of supply here. Now this is a last point of supply, okay, in this structure. It deviated a little bit because it did not fit, or it was not to scale as a normal distribution top, okay? And so this kind of, I would say bigger players front ran this a little bit, possibly because a lot of people are looking at these, right, and expecting somewhat of a last point of supply. We'll call it around, possibly around the same price point, but a little bit later in time. Okay, and so they kind of front ran that and dumped really quickly. However, more importantly, what we're looking at is where we've landed. All right. Now, if you look on this distribution top, guys, all right, on this distribution top here, we can even look at it here as well. We had our impulse move, okay, and our first big correction. All right, impulse move and our first big correction right here. Now, where did we come down to? Where did we sell off to find support? All right, on our first distribution top, we found it. We actually found support at the bottom of this correction. Okay, our first major correction in our big impulse move. Same thing here, except not quite as low. And if you've been following us for a little while, I was looking for a little bit more downside, possibly to the 37,800 level. Because of this correction on our impulse move, and that we were going to replicate what we did here. We have a sell-off to a major point of support, and so we were looking at the same thing here. However, we found support basically we'll call it the middle of this correction. Okay, now where are we at now? We had our impulse move. We'll call our first major correction right here. Okay, this is a very flat little correction, major correction here. And where did we come and find support on our biggest correction off of this distribution top? We found it right in the middle of this correction. All right. So in my opinion, this is absolutely the bottom. All right. Possibly very small chance that we do get a further correction down to 54.3 roughly, okay, to mimic the major support that we hit here. But I do not believe that we're going to hit that. I do not believe that we're going to hit that. We also have this ascending, these higher lows, okay, creating this ascending support. We hit it here, we hit it here. And we're holding it, obviously. We're well above it. But in my opinion, I do not believe that we retest this, and for a few different reasons. Before I go into that, one last thing, guys. On this distribution top, this support that we had created basically for the entirety of the top, created this support. The last structure before we broke to the upside was a break of that support and then an accumulation. Okay, what do we have here? This is our support. We could draw it down a little bit lower. This is an area, remember, but we have the support of our distribution top here. We have a break of that support, right? And now we're forming a structure right underneath, just like we did here. And so again, in my opinion, this is where we're at. Also, this blue line right here, if we scroll out, major fib level, we have the 786 holding that, okay? and holding that is a massive key in order for us to continue this upside move. Okay. On these previous sell-offs, right, or these previous big corrections, the bottom of them, we're obviously, this is our retracement, so we hold that at 0. On this correction, we'll call it midway, but we did hold the 382 over here. We did hold the 382, and in my opinion, we're going to hold the 786 in order to continue this big move up, guys. And we're about to see massive moves on Bitcoin. All right, now one last thing also, guys, we have two Fibonacci's that we've been using. You can try them out. For me, that they're the simplest and most reliable that we can use. Okay, they're both retracements, not extensions, and we're going to be using them from the first major one, or macro one, is going to be dragged from the top of the previous bull run to the bottom of the bear market. Okay, seeing where this run is going to take us. And you can see that the 1618, very crucial level. This is common for every single bull market. To the mid-cycle peak is the 1618 from the previous bull market. Hopefully that makes sense. Rewind it if you have to kind of regurgitate that. All right. And so we use that again mid-cycle as a mid-cycle top on the 1618. Just as we did here. Broke above it very briefly, right? But again, mid-cycle 1618, we could not hold it. We bounced, had our sell-off way much more extended than normal bull cycles, right? And then once again, we're at that level. However, we have held it. We did hold it for a longer duration this time, okay? This is our initial sell-off, right? People taking some profits. And we're about to absolutely explode past this level, in my opinion, and get to our all-time high for this cycle. Okay, and so that's our first fib. Okay, the second one is going to be the retracement from our top of this cycle to the bottom of the mid-cycle sell-off. Okay, and that's our. If we look back here. This is what we're holding right now. That's 786. That's what we're holding right here. So that's a beautiful place to use as support. It happens also to be this mid-cycle sell-off or mid-impulse correction, just like we had here, right? And that's what we used as support, just like we're doing here. And yeah, we're about to absolutely move, guys. One other thing on some of our indicators, RSI and MACD, guys, if you look from every point of our major sell-offs, right? We've touched here. This is our low on our RSI, a low here, and then we just reached a low here. We're creating these higher lows on the RSI, okay? Less and less bearish and less oversold when we do sell off. So that's an extremely big and positive and bullish sentiment. And then same thing on the MACD, guys. All right, so we're coming up to this support. We've actually bounced perfectly off that support here on the RSI, and we're right at it on the MACD. So all of this is looking increasingly bullish. And now let's get over to our on-chain stuff, which is even more bullish, guys. All right, first and foremost, percent balances on exchanges. Make sure you go check. I'm going to pause for a second. Make sure you guys check out on our website. Go check out the tier 3. We just implemented a Glassnode tier 3 membership. Okay, super affordable, but so you guys don't have to or don't ever have to pay the $10,000 yearly fee to access the T3 metrics. All right, I've put together through the website. I give multiple updates a week on these T3 metrics, and they're just Glassnode on-chain Bitcoin at the deepest level. Okay, so go check that out because there's some ridiculously bullish stuff happening on there. But anyway, let's get back. Exchange balances on exchange balances as a percentage, guys. Okay, I mean, I can't tell you enough that the the supply squeeze that is happening, partially due to coins plummeting off of exchanges. You know, even just from this chart, we have price action from July. Okay, price action only going up. Okay, while coins are pouring off of exchanges. I mean, you cannot really get a more bullish indication than that. Okay, this is only building. If you've been following us for any time, you know that I've been saying that I believe that this reset during May was just that. It was a reset of this bull cycle, and I call it a retest because it was a lengthier mid-cycle correction, right? And in a lot of ways, we're still in that kind of correction. We haven't broken. We did just break all-time highs, but just barely, right? We haven't had any sort of big parabolic moves, which is what I believe is coming, partially due to the supply squeeze caused by these coins just coming off of exchanges at a ridiculous rate. And again, after a little bit of putting on, but it's a drop in the bucket, we're continuing. Our last tick is retesting that low, and then, in my opinion, we're just going to continue to see this go down until the very top. So this is extremely bullish. If we look at addresses with balance, this doesn't have as much sway as our wallets with at least 10,000 Bitcoin. But if we look at they have been selling recently across this distribution top, and so we've kind of been. I talked about we've kind of been creating this triangle. Okay, so we've had a little bit higher lows, but we've also had, on our metric, we've also had lower highs. Okay, and if you look what happened, we broke out to the upside of this. Okay, extremely bullish. Now we're starting to push, retesting that high there in October, but ridiculously bullish. And also, if you look, this is happening on the sell-off, on this short-term correction that we've been having. They've been accumulating. So bigger players, not our biggest whales, but still bigger players, you have an accumulation during this. That, again, extremely bullish. If we're in a bear market, bigger players are not accumulating during this phase. All right. If we look at net position changes, this just repeats that same thing. Our net position change off exchanges, and this overall off exchanges net position here. We rewind a little bit. We'll go 2 years. Look at this, guys. Same exact thing that was happening here, and this amount of volume is way bigger than this, right? So this is, in my opinion, this is nothing like this distribution, and much more here or here, which is very much pre-bull run, right before the bull run. All right, so crazy bullish. If we look at SOPR real quick, guys, we've been looking at this a little bit, and you know that we talk about this is SOPR, spent output profit ratio. Basically, when coins are sold, are they in profit or are they in a loss? And this puts it into a ratio. Okay, this one line that goes across, this is kind of our baseline. Okay, and so we know that when we retrace, we'll have these big spikes. Okay, of taking profit in profit, and then we'll have retraces right when we dip a little bit and come back to a middle ground. Okay, but that's perfect in a bull run because that's during a correction, and that's a reset. And usually in bull runs, we go ahead and we pop. Now, I want to show you one thing. We notice how in this distribution top, if we're looking at price action in the white in the back, just like here, right toward the end, right before our last little correction, we had that big spike. Okay, and then we saw big upside. Look at again what's happening here. Big spike. We saw a drop below 1 briefly on our last before we saw upside. Again, happening exactly the same thing. Big spike, drop below 1 on this last sell-off, and then in my opinion, we're about to take off. So that is looking really good, guys. And the last thing we'll go ahead and look at is we're going to look at percent supply and profit. Now, the biggest thing that I was looking for at this point and had me not concerned, but something that I wanted to keep an eye on is we know during these bull runs, this 95% and above, this red area here, that's where we hang out in because we're in a bull run. Everybody's in profit, right? So we had this on this latest correction. This metric actually sold off or plummeted or had a correction, however you want to look at it, in a pretty big way, more so than what we've really ever had. Okay, and so if you look at it, it's actually more in line, not quite, okay, but with this sell-off here. And that's why we want to continue to monitor. It's not my opinion that it happens, but we want to continue to monitor this last, like we had in May. We want to continue to monitor what this bounce looks like, because, and if we hop back up into here, because in May, we did not, right? We had this big correction on this metric, around 83%. We were down in percent supply and profit, okay? And we barely made it back up here, okay? So I want to see an immediate retrace back up into this range and then us stay there, okay? So that's one big thing that I'm going to be watching, guys. However, it is good that we did get an uptick, right? And so now this is starting to be positive. Now, again, remember never to use one metric, guys, to support your thesis. You have to put all things together, because if we're looking at this distribution top and saying, hey, this distribution top is looking kind of similar, what is this? Is this the bear market? Absolutely not, because of all the other metrics during this time were very bearish. Okay, coins being put onto exchanges, big players selling off. This, complete opposite. Big players accumulating, coins dumping off of exchanges, all right? And so we have to use all the pieces together to formulate our thesis. All right, guys, that is the sum of it. If you have not checked out our website, please go check that out. Subscribe if you haven't checked that out. On empiretradingacademy.com, guys, we have so many different tools and implementing more. We have the on-chain course that's about to drop in the next few days. So many tools to learn how to trade, whether you're a beginner, whether you want to learn on-chain. We just dropped that membership again for T3 updates. Phenomenal, the deepest level of on-chain. And then also we have the one-on-one sessions that have been blowing up. So, and those are with me personally, Zoom, Google Meets, and screen sharing. We go over whatever you guys want to go over. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Go check those things out, and we'll see you in the next video.